Back freshman Congresswoman Paulina Luna. Well, you can cross that off your list of campaign promises because you've made it and you stuck to it, and we thank you for it. How are you getting along? This has been a wild 2 weeks. I don't think any freshman congressman has been through what you folks have been through in this particular Congress. How are you getting up to speed? Who's holding your hand and guiding you into the processes of working as a congressperson?
Well, you know, I have a lot of great mentors. I've been always very close to Representative Byron Donalds, but I also, too, fulfilled a second campaign promise, and that was to the constituents that I would join the House Freedom Caucus. And so actually, before we actually got up there on the 3rd, I went to 3 orientations, one of which was with the House Freedom Caucus, and then 2 were put on by the RNC and by the basically the transition team as a whole. So it's been an incredible learning experience, but I can tell you that we're already making waves, and I think that this is just the start of many things to come, especially because we have the debate on the debt ceiling here coming up pretty shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of money, one of the things that Congressman Ron Paul, the great Congressman Ron Paul, father of Rand Paul, used to say, he said he'd love the enthusiasm of freshman congresspeople, congressmen, congresswomen, but they'd always kind of lose track of the money, whose money it is that they were apportioning in various programs. They'd lose track of the millions, and then of the billions, and now of the trillions. Are you gearing yourself against that happening to you?
Yeah, you know, I've always prided myself on the fact that I really don't take a lot of special interest money. And so it allows me to look at things through a different lens and perspective. But, you know, I made this point on Fox News the other day that it was very surprising to me to hear people having conversations in Washington talking about spending taxpayer dollars the way that they would never, ever dare spend their own personal money. And so I think that that is part of the reason why, one, not only do we need term limits, but also, two, we need fresh blood in Washington, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are just, the easy way out would just to be say, okay, look, we're going to raise the debt ceiling, and we as a nation can no longer afford that. And it's my generation and future generations, like people's grandkids, people's children, that are going to have to pay for that. And so I'm very outspoken about this, along with some of my other colleagues. And so I think that that'll be our next big discussion that we have as a country.
Well, you have fresh eyes and you also have fresh ideas, and you're going in the opposite direction of supersizing the IRS. You want to essentially get rid of it, turn it into a collection agency, get rid of all those tax accountants. And actually, you said something that got a lot of attention. You said, I think taxation is theft. I assume you want to amend that a little bit, but explain what you want to do with the IRS.
Well, you know, one of, again, the most alarming things was to see people that were actually angry talking about the fact that we wanted to remove a lot of those 87,000 IRS agents. What people are failing to realize is under this current administration with Biden, they're going after people, a lot of times people that have to have second jobs to really afford what's happening right now currently with inflation. And so when I made that comment, I think it's really just basic in that the IRS essentially has become weaponized against the American people. We don't need to be funding more of it. We need to reallocate that funding and focus elsewhere. And so I actually stand by that statement. And I thought it was interesting how many people got upset and went to the defense of the IRS. So look, if you're all for the IRS and funding it, please feel free to pay my taxes. Yeah,
I think, frankly, there are more, with all due respect to the people who work there are more people in this country who are afraid of the IRS than support the supersizing of the IRS. You also, when we talked last time, you mentioned your own background and how that did not turn you into a taker. You believe to continue to be a maker. And unlike a lot of people, let me just play that tape, and I want to ask you a question afterwards. Roll tape.
Big government will never help you as well as you can help yourself. And so it's not just my goal for Pinellas County and Florida 13, but it is my message nationally to those people that, especially the Democrats, are trying to weaponize, to embrace this victim mentality, that you should reject that. Vote Republican on November 8th, especially to my Hispanic brothers and sisters across the nation.
Now, is that understanding that you have, and frankly, I know a lot of people who came up from very poor origins and have that same belief. Do you think it is spreading or disappearing?
I think that that's spreading. And, you know, what's really sad is that that message should be the message that we as a nation embrace, right? The focus on the American dream. And because I've been so outspoken and talked about really what I went through, you know, being raised by a single mother who was initially on food stamps and then later on having my own father on food stamps throughout the time that I was in high school. I mean, It's sad to see that the left has become so obsessed with trying to discredit me. They've been focusing a lot on my race, which obviously today being Martin Luther King Day, you would think that they would embrace people with my story. But the fact is that people with my story that empower especially minorities to think outside of the box and really fight for their own instead of relying on big government, they try to eliminate us. And so you'll see the attacks starting to come, but it's okay because I have the truth on my side. And I'm going to continue to fight for that message because only in America can you accomplish what I've accomplished.
And by the way, you and your husband are warriors, so that helps your backbone as well. You've got good training. Finally, you mentioned it was Martin Luther King Day. I just want to read a passage from his famous I Had a Dream speech. This was in 1963. And so much of what's happening inside the Beltway contradicts the message that we have here, which is, I have a dream. I'm quoting MLK here. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Congresswoman, so much of the legislation and the regulations that are coming out of D.C. in the past couple of years really contradict that notion. They are race-based more than anything else, whether it's dealing with affirmative action or a whole lot of different things. Even the lending program that we had, the COVID lending program, some of them were race-based. Are you out to just get rid of that race-based legislation entirely?
100%. I think you'll also see that with the new people that have been assigned to the appropriations, that some of these funded programs, especially those focusing on CRT, I think that that's going away, and rightfully so. You know, there's many members of Congress who are minorities that do not agree with that idea. And frankly, children should be focusing on American history, mathematics, and learning how to read, not how their color of their skin makes them less than or more than in this culture and society. So I am absolutely against CRT, and I look forward to helping get rid of it, especially about our federal funded programs.
Well, we wish you the very best. Keep that spirit. Don't lose it. Don't become absorbed by the in the Beltway mentality. Congresswoman Ana Paulina Luna, great to see you again. Thank you for coming back to see us again, and I hope it's not the last time. Good to see you.